Could you imagine like all those minifigs like lighting up and stuff like that? Maybe having like a flicker effect and whatnot. I think there's a lot of potential here with lighting. And hey guys, welcome back to another video. Again, we're just gonna jump right into it today. My last video we did about the UCS Death Star Lego pretty much revolved around the fact that, well, it was really disappointing for a lot of people. Some people liked it, maybe kind of like a 50-50 split, sort of like, I guess, the reception to the Last Jedi movie, if you want to equate it to that. But there was a lot of hot and a lot of cold comments. Well, at least from what I'm seeing a lot more cold comments, but usually controversy just kind of happens to rise to the top a little bit that way. And those are my thoughts too. The original leak design that seems to be from a factory box, so it's definitely real, right? It was underwhelming. It looks like an eighth of a slice of a Death Star pie, if you want to call it that, but we know this already. So the point of this video was, well, I kind of did some brainstorming after my last video, and I rewatched my own video too, and I found that there is kind of a silver lining. I mean, it's a tough silver lining given the price point and what we're getting, I guess, in terms of a big playset, but the silver lining is the modularity and what you could do with this version of your Death Star. Customizable, right? Again, this took me back to the Star Wars Lego Leaks subreddit, and it takes me back to a post by Anyfig1164 titled "This set looks way better than it does on the box." Now, this image below right here, to me, looks photoshopped. Obviously, I guess this is from someone's TikTok or something. You could see they're blurred out at the bottom, but it looks to be obviously the cutout version or Photoshop version of the set onto like a nice table with some lighting in someone's home. Now, if you wanted to make it your centerpiece, this was my main idea for the set, and it's something I mentioned in my original video. The one way I think this set could really be brought to life and be something special is by adding lighting effects. Now, you can see here through the ambience of this Photoshop setting, it does look nice with the background lighting, but again, I think you have to go into the set itself and install some custom lighting. So I'll give you some examples as to what I mean. Now, if you look closer here, you can see the light panels. I guess this is already maybe illuminated by Photoshop or something, but maybe if these panels were kind of like glow in the dark, right? And another thing I mentioned in my video was the marketing of the box, right? You have this like red hue around it, and it really brings it to life. So again, I think the use of lighting in the set could make it really special. So in my case, right, I have one of the clone trooper drop ships behind me, and it's not lit up, so you can't really see it too much. And I thought about maybe, you know, modding it that way, throwing in some custom lights just to bring, you know, the background set to life, you know, to give you guys a little something, just to spice up the background pretty much, right? Because it's a little dull without the lighting. But I was thinking maybe you get a set like this, you know, you shell out a lot of money, but this could be a permanent like set piece if you're someone like me who likes to do YouTube. Or if you're someone who just wants to have like a grail in your collection and have that be the centerpiece of your Star Wars collection, that grail that's special to you, right? Because remember, collecting, modding, all this stuff, it's really personal to what you want as a fan, right? It's not about what other people want, it's about what you want. And I understand why this disappointed so many people, but at the same time, you're willing to shell out the extra money, which I think if you're already shelling out $1,000, you could definitely spend money on some lighting too. It could really, really bring this set to light. And I also got the idea, because when I wanted to mod out that clone trooper dropship I found this website called Lightbricks. Now, I know this is probably super famous amongst the Lego community. Again, I'm a little bit newer to the Lego community in the depth that I'm going in now. Like I've played the games, I have some sets, you know, in storage or whatever, like one or two, nothing crazy. When I was a kid, I had a lot of them, but I didn't know they actually had this kind of lighting available, which is really cool. And you can look at some of the jobs they've done, especially now, this one in particular especially drew my eye because, well, the UCS AT-AT is pretty much like a mini mock version of the Death Star. And when you look through the photos here, you can see how beautiful this set is brought to life. Now, you have to remember, the Death Star is gray. It's kind of like a gray sphere, and I think that's what a lot of people, I guess, didn't want, who wanted this half sphere, but so is the AT-AT. And just look at how nice the ambience is. Look at how it really brings that set to light, especially the interior. Let's see if you have, could you imagine like all those minifigs like lighting up and stuff like that, maybe having like a flicker effect and whatnot? I think there's a lot of potential here with lighting, and I think mods like this could really save this set, at least if you're someone who's looking to actually buy it and make it a centerpiece of your collection. Now, how could Lego save this set? Well, when you look at the price per brick, I think it's like 11 cents or something per brick, and apparently that's around the average per brick of a Lego set. But I think the way they could save this set, something they're not going to do, is eat a little bit of the cost, drop the price a little bit, or market it a little better. We're like pretty close to the release of the set, And we're just getting leaks, and the leaks are alarming. So I think Lego should at least step in with their marketing team, do a little something to get the fans excited or put them at ease. Or the next option they could pursue is really doing the lighting ambience thing. I think this is such a great opportunity for Lego to introduce this kind of modularity to their sets, maybe through a partnership or doing their own thing. And I understand it would be a little bit difficult maybe, but this kind of lighting really, really brings sets to life. And UCS sets are not necessarily play sets for a lot of people. For a lot of people, they're sit on a shelf and admire sets, right? Most people aren't going in there with their kids and breaking it up and playing maybe how we did when we were children, right? People, a lot of collectors, a lot of adults, right, who have $1,000 to spend are going in to make this perhaps a centerpiece or something beautiful to look at on a shelf and pay homage to their love of Star Wars. So I think that option of having this modularity available through Lego, right, maybe combining with eating a little bit of the cost, would make this a super, super appealing set. So I think those are really the two main options that Lego has in this case, right? It's eat a little bit of the cost, maybe do some sort of promotion with it, which they probably will. I think they usually do when they drop UCS sets. But adding the modularity through Lego and eating the cost, I think would make this a super, super, super appealing set. Because again, $1,000 for an open concept Death Star with no lighting, it's tough. It's a little bit tough at that price point, especially in the times that we live in now, right? Things are not affordable for many people across the world. So to spend $1,000 on a Lego set, look, if you have $1,000 for Lego, you're probably in a good place in your life. You shouldn't be going into debt. You shouldn't be swiping your credit card for toys, Legos, collectibles, right? But if you're going to spend the money and you have the money, you want to get your money's worth. And one of the first things that jumped out in the box to me was the little lighting they did, right? Now, I know they've done this in other boxes, but in particular, this really brings this set to life. And if you're going to turn it and it's going to be like a slice of pizza of the sphere, you have to have something selling it besides, hey, there's 38 minifigures and it depicts a little scene from each movie. It needs to be more than that because anyone could just collect minifigures and do that themselves, right? This is supposed to be special, right? And I'm not saying it's not special. What I am saying is that if they do those two things, I think, eat a little bit of the cost. I mean, $1,000's steep for this, at least from what we know. I mean, they could come out and they could show pictures of it on the shelf. They could do the product reveal and it could be like the best thing in the world. And I hope it is. But I think eating the cost, doing some sort of custom lighting would really take this set super, super, super far. And I can already see some ideas here, right? Like in particular, I would love to have like a little bit of lighting on the panels. I would love to have some red hue. If that's transparent glass or transparent plastic, whatever, that would be so cool if it were illuminated in some sort of way. And could you imagine that at night? So side note, and this is just an example of what I mean. I have the Hallmark Star Wars Christmas wreath, the actual wreath, and I have all the ornaments that came with it. And when you plug all the ornaments in together, they all have like different lighting and stuff. It looks awesome on a wall. And the little figurines look awesome. It's like they have the Imperial Destroyer, you have the Millennium Falcon. And when you press a button, right, it plays out a dialogue of a scene. And each ship has like a little bit of dialogue from a little bit of a scene. I think it's of the New Hope movie, if I remember correctly. But those ideas could definitely be implemented into, again, a $1,000 set. And I understand maybe Lego doesn't want to take that leap, but for something like this at this price point, you kind of might have to. So yeah, it was a little bit of a quick video. I was just kind of thinking to myself, yeah, my reception to it was negative, but I kind of went through that like weird economic phase of like, my expectations were up here. I got this, it dropped. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's really not that bad. So it's kind of come back somewhere in between. And in that in-between phase, I've been thinking, well, maybe I was expecting too much and what things could I do to make this more epic for myself? Because when you go back to this picture, it does look pretty sweet with the lighting beneath it. So I'm just wondering to myself, when you go back to a picture of the box and you see the red hue around it, it actually does look pretty sweet. And I'm just picturing it now, that some sort of like red hue, the throne room, a little bit of lighting on the light panels, and even the Death Star laser like flashing like a little flicker, I think would be super, super sick and would be the icing on the cake for the set possibly. $1,000 is a lot, I get it, but this is just something I think that could really take this set to the next level and maybe justify it being, well, for you paying it, but also being a centerpiece in your collection. Because that's what I'm kind of looking for. I'm looking for like a centerpiece backdrop, and I'm thinking maybe this could be it. Because it is cool to see that you have all these moments from the movies wrapped up in the most iconic thing outside of Darth Vader in the Death Star on your shelf, lit up, just being really cool. So those are my thoughts. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you like it, if you change it, what would you change? If you're going to buy it, and whatever the case may be with your situation and what your thoughts are. Before you leave, please drop a like in this video down below. It does help the channel a lot. It attracts new viewers and it cultivates a better community. And I get to hang out with my friends and do Star Wars stuff, which is what the original plan of this channel was. It was to connect with Star Wars fans, make new friends, and just enjoy the brand together, right? So with that being said, don't forget to do all those things I mentioned if you don't mind. Stay safe out there, and may the Force be with you always. I'll catch you in the next video, guys.